Why would anyone give up caffeine? This is probably the question you're asking yourself. And if you asked me a couple years ago, I would be asking the same question, like, who gives up caffeine? You know, there's people who they give up alcohol, right? Understandable, because alcohol has like serious negatives to it. People give up smoking cigarettes, which is also understandable because it has all these drawbacks to it. But when someone tells you that they're quitting caffeine, you just give them this nasty side eye because they sound actually crazy just even mentioning that they're going to quit caffeine. All you can think to yourself is, yeah, sure, he'll quit caffeine, he'll be back in a week. My name is Aman, and I quit caffeine on accident. I never planned on quitting caffeine because caffeine was sort of the safety net for me, where whatever bad happened to me, I always had caffeine to help pick me up when I'm not feeling well. I'm extremely tired. I had a bad night of sleep and I need to be up in the morning. Caffeine was there to pick me up. Whenever I felt unmotivated to go to the gym because I just cannot be bothered at all to go to the gym, mixing in pre-workout before I go to the gym, that caffeine would instantly motivate me to want to go to the gym. Whenever I have some important deadline coming up, whether it's finishing up some work tasks, whether it's writing an essay, whether it's studying for an exam, whatever it is, caffeine was there to help me focus. And I never thought twice about it. I never thought I should ever give it up because this is something so powerful that I can make all these mistakes. I can not feel disciplined enough in my life to have a completely normal sleep schedule, not feeling disciplined enough to go to the gym, and it will make up for all my bad habits. I never thought twice about it because everybody thought it was normal. Everybody drinks caffeine, everyone consumes coffee, everyone consumes matcha. So really, like, if I were to quit caffeine, I would look like the outsider. I would look like the one who's making a mistake by quitting caffeine because everyone else is drinking caffeine. Well, the problem isn't the caffeine, the problem isn't the coffee, because there are completely normal people who are able to limit themselves to just 1 cup of coffee a day, 1 cup of tea a day, and they are perfectly fine as is. We are not those people. The majority of us, we cannot just stick to 1 cup of coffee, because what ends up happening is that 1 cup of coffee turns into 2 cups of coffee, which turns into 3 cups of coffee. And now all of a sudden we are in this downward spiral of continuously drinking coffee to make ourselves feel better, but nothing is working. We end up coming to a point where the caffeine is basically useless altogether, and we're not even drinking caffeine for the sake of drinking caffeine. We're consuming caffeine just so we don't have any more withdrawals. The moment when I started drinking 2 cups of coffee, because it's always been just 1 cup of coffee for me, the moment when I started taking two wasn't because I intentionally felt like I needed 2 cups of coffee to be better. It was when my first cup of coffee was only there to make me feel normal again. It's like I feel extra tired now without the caffeine, and I need just 1 cup for me to be at my normal level. That second cup of coffee is the one that gives me the extra energy. And it made me realize I'm not even drinking coffee for the productivity anymore. I'm not drinking coffee for the taste anymore. I'm drinking coffee so that I don't get withdrawals anymore, because every time I try to quit drinking coffee, I get these insane withdrawals. I can't sleep at night. My head is just pounding. My brain just can't think properly. And I'm just tired the entire day. So it makes it impossible to quit. And the more caffeine I continue to use, the more my anxiety would flare up. See, I've always had anxiety my entire life. And I've noticed that the more coffee I drink, the more anxious I get, the more racing thoughts I have, the more negative thoughts I have. My mind is moving at 10,000 thoughts a second, and every single one of them is something negative or overthinking. And we don't even notice it's a problem because we just kind of assume that's just how we are. We are just normally anxious, especially growing up in a generation where I've had technology my entire life. We would just assume that this is just how my generation is. Back then, it was more of a problem where I needed like medication to be able to deal with it. Now it's more so, since I've dealt with anxiety for so long, you just kind of learn to deal with it. But the thing is, you can live without anxiety. And I started putting two and two together once I realized that I don't feel anxious anymore when I'm not drinking caffeine. My anxiety started around the time where I started consuming coffee. This was around, I think I was 14 or 15 years old. when I started consuming caffeine on a regular basis. It is also the same time when my anxiety started developing. And it took me so many years to realize maybe the two are correlated. Maybe the reason why I felt this sudden spike of anxiety was because of this sudden spike of caffeine consumption. Prior to high school, I never had any problems with anxiety. And all I could think of is that all those like moments in my life, all those times where anxiety has caused problems for me, I could have dealt with it. I could have gotten rid of those problems had I lowered my caffeine consumptions. But of course, we're never taught that caffeine can lead to such high rates of anxiety. The other reason why I quit was that I wasn't sleeping properly. I'd go, we're always taught that we need 8 hours of sleep, 9 hours of sleep. But I would be getting those hours of sleep consistently, but I'd still wake up tired. I'd go to bed at, let's say 9 o'clock, and I wake up at 6 o'clock. I've given myself time to rest. I've even allocated some extra time because I know when you go to bed, you're not asleep immediately. It takes some time for you to fall asleep. You're waking up in the middle of the night. So I allocated extra time for myself so that I'd still be hitting my sleep goals, but I would end up still waking up tired as if I haven't even slept that night. And when I did end up cutting out caffeine for good for a couple of months, my dreams returned, which was the biggest sign that I was sleeping better. Because if you're not dreaming, you're not actually getting quality sleep. There's a sleep stage when you're sleeping called the REM sleep. And REM sleep is basically when you have all those dreams. Not only are you dreaming, but you're also having the most restorative sleep of the night. You can have 8 hours of sleep, but if you're not dreaming at all in one of those nights, if you're not getting deep, proper sleep during the night, those 8 hours are basically useless. With all this caffeine in my system, the half-life of caffeine is like 6 hours. So I'd be going to sleep still with like hundreds of milligrams of caffeine in my system. So I would be able to get the proper sleep I needed. Cutting caffeine out for good, I'm getting the sleep that I need. I have more energy now, more than I had before I started using coffee, rather than having ups and downs in energy, which we always just thought was normal. My energy level was constant. I'd wake up feeling like I'm on top of the world, and my energy would stay consistent the entire day. It wouldn't crash until the end of the night when it's time to sleep, which is supposed to be normal. The more I learned about caffeine, the more I realized that there are so many downsides to it. I get random stomach aches, and I've always thought it's just because that's how my body is. My body just can't handle certain foods. But no, it's because all this caffeine I'm consuming is causing my stomach to hurt. My skin is breaking out, and I'm getting all this like dry spots on my skin. It's because of all this caffeine I've been consuming. I'm so much more irritable when I'm on caffeine. My emotions are stable when I'm off of caffeine. All these benefits, all these side effects that we don't even realize as being caused by caffeine. It blows my mind that we still continue to call caffeine a normal miracle drug, that it's completely normal for everyone to consume. Whenever we're feeling tired, we don't tell ourselves that we feel tired. We tell ourselves we need coffee. We have basically associated tiredness with caffeine, even though it's completely normal to be tired. Maybe you didn't sleep well the past few nights. Maybe you have a poor diet. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you just don't have the electrolytes you need to keep yourself in check. Whatever it is, you're not getting proper nutrition. There are so many different reasons why you could be tired. You're not getting vitamin D. You're not going and working out. All these different reasons. But we want to blame it on not having our cup of coffee for the morning as the reason why we're feeling tired, which shouldn't be the case. The example I like to use is that an alcoholic who feels more socially confident when they're drinking alcohol, if they take away the alcohol and they say, I can't be social today, I'm going to be really awkward because I don't have my alcohol with me, you would kind of look at them like, are you like insane? What are you talking about? You don't need the alcohol. It might benefit you, but you don't need it, right? Because it would be ridiculous if everyone just used alcohol as a crutch to be more social. With weed too, like imagine somebody tells you that they need to be smoking 24/7, otherwise they'd be feeling anxious. You kind of look at them like, yeah, it does help you with your anxiety, but you're not doing yourself any good by smoking constantly and being high all day. You understand the point I'm making. But why is it when we say that we are tired, we need caffeine, we can't function without it, We look at that as something normal. We look at being caffeine dependent, having withdrawals from caffeine as a normal thing, and that you just kind of deal with it. The only reason why people haven't quit is because they just don't want to give it up. We've integrated it into our lives where if we tell somebody to quit caffeine, they'll look at us like we're the crazy ones, even though they're the ones who has poor sleep, even though they're the ones whose energy levels aren't consistent, even though they're the ones whose skin keeps breaking out, right? They have all this anxiety. Their teeth is starting to get yellow. I don't think that's any way for you to be living. We have so much more potential. We have so much more energy that we can tap into ourselves. But we can't do that if we're so dependent on caffeine. If this video resonates with you, click the first link in the description. I've created a community where we are all quitting caffeine together. We are all working together towards the same cause. And I will be helping you guys along the way. So I will see you guys soon.